How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today I thought I'd talk about what makes a character truly good in Mortal Kombat 11. Because in just a couple of days we're gonna have Spawn, and after that we're not gonna have a new character for a pretty good amount of time. And there's also likely not gonna be very many updates after that either, so characters are gonna stay pretty consistent for a bit. So I feel like right now is a pretty good time to discuss what makes a character good in Mortal Kombat 11. Because I do see a lot of people getting it wrong. Some people think, oh, it's about having really damaging combos. But that's clearly not true, because Sindel does some really good damage and we don't see her at tournaments at all, really. And even characters like Scorpion can also do some really big damage once they get that buff going, and even so you don't see him very much at tournaments. So it's clearly not about damage, even though a lot of players think it is. So with that in mind, maybe it's the crushing blows, right? Having crushing blows is great. Characters like Garrus, tons of crushing blows, instant damage, you can't even escape it. So that should be really good, but once again, not as many Garruses as there used to be. And on top of that, you have characters like Johnny Cage dominating the tournaments despite having not many crushing blows at all. So while having crushing blows is very nice, it can't be the defining factor of what makes a character good, because if it was, you'd see all the crushing blow heavy characters all over the tournaments, and you just don't. Now alright, Underdog, so what is it then that makes a character good in Mortal Kombat 11? Let's talk about it. So for starters, speed, right? You want to have a fast character, but it's not just having a fast attack. Because when it comes to high attacks, most characters have a 7 frame, and when it comes to pokes, most characters have a 7 frame down 1 or a down 3 sometimes. So in that regard, every character is roughly the same speed. What actually matters is having a fast mid or a fast low, something the opponent has to block, because otherwise you'll do something minus, like say this string right here. The opponent will block it and try to go for a high attack. That's their fastest move, right? But you just duck it because it is a high attack, and then boom, uppercut, or even worse, boom, crushing blow. As you can see, Jackie's uppercut is quite abysmal, but if it was anybody else, that uppercut would have blown them up really hard. So simply being fast isn't what's actually important. Instead, you need a fast move the opponent is actually forced to block. Once again, either a mid or a low, something they have to deal with. That way they can't just duck and either mash uppercut or simply wait for the chance to whiff punish a high. You don't want either one of those things happening to you, so once again, a fast mid or a fast low. Look at Jackie. This mid is 9 frames. That is the absolute fastest a move can be without being a high attack, with Raiden being the only exception, and even then only for his one special move. And this actually got even stronger after the recent update with the help of that 5 frame input buffer on block. So now if I'm fighting D'Vorah for an example, let's go ahead and have her walk forward and just mash down 1. She's just going ham. Now I could just down 3 if I wanted to, it's pretty fast, but you know what? I have a 9 frame mid. Let's go in. Look at that, counter hit, and now a full combo. It's super easy because I have a very fast mid. And it actually has to be a mid because if I go for a high attack, as you can see, I just get blown up. My high attack is faster, but I can't hit her. She's on the ground. No high attack is going to work even if it's faster. She's crouching and she's not blocking, so I can't get her hit. It's just not going to work. I have to do either a low poke, or even better, my fast 9 frame mid, and it leads to a full combo. So that's why having a fast mid is such a big deal in Mortal Kombat 11. Either a fast mid or a fast low, and you typically want one that's between 9 and 11 frames. That tends to be okay. Even characters like Frost, where her fastest mid is 11, that's still just fine. You can still take your turn back fairly easily. But once you get above that in the 12s or 15s, it becomes a bit tough to steal your turn. So for example, once again, D'Vorah can have a bit of trouble in that department because her fastest move is right here, and it's 17. That's not fast at all, but it's her only move outside of a regular poke. So a D'Vorah player, a lot of the time, if they block a poke, will just do a down 4. It staggers the opponent, gets some distance, and she can start playing around at that distance she's comfortable with and start doing footsies and zoning, all that stuff. But she doesn't really have any fast mids or lows, so she has to go for a crouching attack, whether it be a down 1 or a down 3, or even a down 4 just to reset that neutral, because she's just not fast enough to go for a mid or a low. She has to use those pokes. So in summary, one of the first things that makes the character good in Mortal Kombat 11 is simply having a very fast mid or low. Once again, something the opponent has to deal with, though it's not the only thing. Earlier, I mentioned that combo damage isn't always a big deal in this game because you can just break away and drop out of it. So if I launch D'Vorah right there, she can just drop down, then I pretty much wasted my meter. The most I can do is dash forward and uppercut. And in this game, you build meter just by existing. You don't have to block, you don't have to hit the opponent or anything. You just build meter on your own. So a player who's trying to be aggressive might have a tough time opening you up, and when they finally do, you can just drop out and negate that potential combo damage. And that's why really high damage combo characters aren't always the best in this game. However, with that said, the combo breaker in this game is perhaps weaker than any combo breaker in past Mortal Kombat games because the opponent actually has to leave the ground before they can break away. If you keep them standing, like say, right here, they have to hold that entire combo, so check this out. 30% only cost me 1 bar and the opponent had no way of escaping that. So combo damage can be a big deal in this game, but the key here is to keep the opponent standing the entire time, that way they can't use the combo breaker. Jackie Briggs can do this, Johnny Cage can do this pretty well in his variation too, Collector has always been good at this, and you probably get the idea by now. Combo damage can be important, but only if the opponent has no way of escaping it. And then for number 3 we have frame data. Now this one can be the most boring, so I'll keep it brief. I'm gonna go ahead and tell D'Vorah to block everything. Now check this out. Pretty much everything I do is safe. D'Vorah has no way of punishing any of this. She can take her turn back for sure, but she can't punish me for doing any of this. It's actually all quite safe. And that's a very big deal, especially against a very strong opponent. And for anyone who's not aware, anything -7 or less is typically unpunishable by most characters. And if you want to be absolutely safe on block, then -6 or below guarantees the opponent can't punish you. So having a bunch of strings that are safe on block can be a big deal, and even better is having hit confirms that are safe. So for Jackie, I have this string right here, her 4-3-1. Very good string, and I have all day to see if it lands or if you block it. If it hits, I go for her machine gun grease kicks, right? And if it doesn't land, I can just go for this, or I can just stop it right there, or I can even cancel it and go for a pump fake in some variations and go for a throw, all that good stuff. So I have a lot of options here, but this fast mid is a very good hit confirm and it's safe on block. So if I hit you, full combo. If you block it, not a big deal, no risk. So that's also very strong, and then some characters have the ability to be plus. Not every character, but a lot of them do. So right there, I'm +4. Which means if you do any button, I can do this mid, 9 frames. If you do anything else, you're going to get hit as long as I don't mess up the timing. And that grease kick leads to a full combo, or because I'm an upgraded, you get this and then a full combo that way. So that's a very big deal. Having safe strings that are great hit confirms is very good, and then if you have plus frames, that's just the cherry on top. And now there's one more very important thing that I wanted to cover, and I'm not sure if a term for this actually exists, so I'm just going to show it to you. So in Mortal Kombat 11, you have the poke game, right? It can be very frustrating, though thankfully due to a recent patch it's a bit easier to manage, but the idea is that if I down one and you block it, you can down one back. Or go for your fastest mid, and I have to block it. If I don't, I'm gonna get hit, or potentially even worse, I'm gonna get comboed. So if you block my down one, I have to deal with that, right? Well, not necessarily. In fact, let's take control of D'Vorah because she is a better example of this. Alright, so right now I'm D'Vorah. So let's say we're doing the poke game, right? We're poking over and over again, and you block this. Okay, Jackie, go ahead and have her block everything. So she blocks that, and I'm at -6. So if I go for it again, I'm gonna get comboed, right? Well, not necessarily, because I could do this. So what I just did there was safe on block, but even better, if Jackie tried to counter poke, she was gonna get hit there. So in other words, certain characters in this game, like D'Vorah and Johnny Cage, have ways of stealing their turn after a blocked down one, and they're still safe afterwards as long as they spin the bar. This right here is one of the strongest things in Mortal Kombat 11 at high level. Having the ability to poke the opponent and then go for a special move that keeps you safe is super strong, because once again, if the opponent tries to go for a mid or even a counter poke, they're gonna get hit, which wouldn't work most of the time. Most characters can't do this, but if they try it on D'Vorah or Johnny Cage or other characters like that, I can just steal my turn and get the hit, or even a knockdown in some situations. I know it might not seem like a very big deal if you're just playing casually online or the lower ranks of Combat League, but having the potential to steal your turn back like this is super strong, because once again, I do a down one. It should be your turn, but because I'm D'Vorah, it's not, and I keep myself safe. This was so strong for characters like Johnny Cage and even Cassie Cage at one point that the developers had to nerf it in different ways because it's just that strong, especially at high level. For Cassie Cage, they added a flawless block gap. That way you can at least punish it when she goes for the amplified version to keep herself safe. And then for Johnny Cage, there's no gap, but it does cost defensive bar and offensive bar, so it's very expensive. So that just goes to show how strong this technique can be. Having the power to poke the opponent and then still keep your turn for a bit longer and potentially even hit them for playing the game normally is a very strong ability. Now thankfully, it pretty much always costs meter to do this, which means the opponent can only do it twice before their meter has to recharge. But even so, if I poke you and you want to take your turn back, I can just go no and either hit you for crazy plus frames or knock you down for some really good Oki. It's not a good situation for you to be in. Alright everyone, and that's about it for my list on what makes a character truly good in Mortal Kombat 11. Now please understand that I don't consider any character in this game bad at this point in time. So if you enjoy a certain character like Collector or Shao Kahn, you can still get wins with them. I mean, Video Games Yo is a great example of that. A character might be low tier, but in this game they're still not terrible, you can still get the wins. But in summary, those are the 4 things that I consider to be very strong in Mortal Kombat 11. Number 1, having a very fast mid or low, something the opponent has to block. Number 2, having unbreakable guaranteed combo damage, so that when you do touch the opponent, they have no way of escaping the damage regardless of their meter. Number 3, having very solid hit confirms that are also safe on block and lead to combos very easily. And then number 4, having the ability to steal your turn back after a down 1 while also keeping yourself safe. Because pretty much any character can do this, but it's very risky. So Jackie, for example, this would be a very big risk for me, but it could still work for stealing the turn. But then you have characters like Cassie Cage, Johnny Cage, and even D'Vorah who can do it while keeping themselves safe and pretty much ignore how the game is supposed to work, which is block the move, and then you take your turn. Nope, some characters can just say no to that. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, it really does help my channel out a ton. And then while you're down there, please post your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think makes a character good in Mortal Kombat 11? And then finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.